Fasting has quickly become the eating method of choice for many individuals looking to shed excess weight and feel better overall. So much so, there are now more than a handful of intermittent fasting styles to choose from, such as alternate day fasting or the 5-2 method, all to accommodate an individual's lifestyle. But have you ever wondered if you're fasting too much? Welcome back to the Good Health Gorilla. If you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and write in the comments section below what your current eating method of choice is. Now, what are the signs that you're fasting too much? Is it a sudden desire to eat everything in sight? And is it time for you to take a break from fasting? Make sure to watch to the end of the video for answers to these questions and more. Number 1. Stalled weight loss. When you fast too long for an extended period, you might enter into starvation mode. This is a natural body response to an extended energy restriction. A shorter eating window will sustain an essential calorie deficit, and when you do that every day, your body will learn how to perform a low-calorie intake, and in the process, you will lose a significantly high amount of weight, or even gain weight. When fasting, leptin, a hormone that communicates satiety to your brain, will reduce significantly. An overweight individual often has significantly high leptin levels. However, they are less sensitive to it. On the other hand, lean or skinny individuals have significantly low leptin levels and are very sensitive. Reduced leptin levels will lead to an increase in hunger, which means that overdoing fasting can be counterproductive. Number 2. Binge eating. Although fasting can be essential for fixing some eating disorders such as food obsession and sugar addiction, it can also lead to an eating disorder like binge eating if not careful. When you break your fast for the first time, you will probably be eager to eat due to severe hunger. This often happens because, as a newbie, your body is not used to fasting, and as a result, you will end up overeating to compensate for the lost energy. Binge eating when breaking your fast is often associated with regular low-calorie diets, prolonged fasting for an extended period, sleep deprivation, stress, poor dietary choices, and overtraining. Additionally, binge eating while fasting might also be associated with underlying emotional issues, addiction, or failure to fulfill in some areas of your life. And as a result, you might be feasting on your feelings. So, if you have a cycle of fasting and binge eating, you should try 2 to 3 days of fasting to reset your body completely. However, you would also want to practice moderate fasting once you break your fast. Number 3. Feeling cold all the time. Feeling cold while fasting is often associated with your regular fat taking on properties of visceral fat. This is because visceral fat is preferentially burned first while fasting. Unlike regular body fat, visceral fat does not have thermogenic properties, meaning that it does not generate heat while being burned. This is why you tend to feel cold while fasting. Fortunately, this process will come to an end after your fasting period. At times, it might take longer since your body has a hard time rebooting from the whole process. This can be both uncomfortable and dangerous at the same time. Fasting is also associated with calorie restriction, and chronic dieting will reduce your metabolic rate as well as reduce your thyroid function. This effect will then manifest itself as feeling cold while fasting, since your body will be short on energy. You should note that a 3 to 5 day fast can have a severe effect on your thyroid levels, especially when you experience severe stress or are undereating. Feeling cold during fasting is associated with significantly low caloric intake along with nutrient deficiency. Furthermore, fasting blood flow will boost your fat stores, which is known as adipose tissue blood flow. This process helps in moving fat to the muscles, where they are used as fuel. In other words, when your blood sugar decreases due to extended periods of fasting, you become more sensitive to cold. After breaking your fasting period, it's recommended to increase your protein intake as it offers a high thermic effect and will help boost your metabolic rate while protecting you against frailty. It's also advisable to have a regular carb intake to help keep your engine functioning. This is because reducing your carbs intake for an extended period will downregulate your thyroid along with leptin function, hence lowering your metabolism. As for the health of your thyroid, it's important to consume enough zinc, selenium, magnesium, vitamin B complex, along with healthy fats. To get rid of cold feet and hands during fasting, you might consider drinking warm beverages such as tea that will keep your digestive system going. Additionally, you will need to avoid cold foods such as raw vegetables and salads, since they will interfere with your thyroid function. However, it would help if you tried consuming more warm broths, soups, as well as stews. Before we talk about number 4, if you have any amazing fasting stories, share them in the comments section below. And if you'd like to see more intermittent fasting and weight loss content, consider subscribing to our channel. We publish one video a week and we don't want you to miss anything. Now, back to the video. Number 4. Soreness and stiffness. When you fast for an extended period, you will start experiencing soreness and muscle stiffness. Usually, this is due to insufficient protein intake. When you fast too much, meeting your recommended dietary allowance of protein becomes challenging. Since fasting is also considered catabolic, whereby your body breaks down its tissues for energy, you will need to replace the lost tissue by increasing your protein intake. Although catabolism during fasting is okay, fasting or fasting for an extended period can cause problems if you cannot meet your protein demand. This is also highly associated with your activity levels. As a very active individual, you will require a higher amount of protein as opposed to a relatively less active individual. Though fasting is vital as it offers various hormonal benefits for building muscles, failure to have sufficient protein intake during your feeding period will be harmful to your body. As a result, you will experience negative nitrogen balance, forcing your body muscles to break down. Number 5. Disrupted bowel movements. Disruption of bowel movements tends to occur after a prolonged period of fasting. Fasting does this by breaking down the mucosal layer gut that protects your stomach lining from hydrochloric acid. As a result, when you feast during your eating period, it tends to be hard on your stomach, disrupting the whole digestion process and leading to digestive discomfort. Although this is not a big deal when you fast once in a while, fasting every day while undergoing this constant cycle of disrupting the digestive system after 3 to 4 weeks of this practice will lead to a weak gut. Therefore, you will need to avoid prolonged fasting to allow fasting to impact your gut positively. Number 6. Feeling tired, irritable, and dehydrated all the time. Feeling tired is normal while fasting because your body operates on lower energy levels than usual. Since fasting enhances stress levels, it might also affect your sleeping pattern. You might try meditating to help lower your stress levels, and if you have a regular fitness regimen, you should schedule it to your eating window. The biochemistry that regulates mood, such as stress levels, is also responsible for appetite control. Since nutrients affect neurotransmitter activities such as depression and anxiety, dysregulating your appetite will have an equal effect on your mood. A nutritionally balanced meal will help reduce irritability during your fasting window. Feeling dehydrated all the time is another sign that you are overdoing your fasting. Since fasting is associated with water loss, you will need to rehydrate sufficiently during your eating window. When you don't eat at times, you forget to drink. As a result, you will need to focus on your thirst cues while fasting. Here's a fun fact. When you get drunk too easily, you may also be fasting too much. Drinking after fasting is said to be okay. However, this should not be done during your fasting period or immediately after fasting. When you drink on an empty stomach, you will get drunk pretty fast. However, when you restrict your drinking to your eating period, you will be displacing your opportunity to acquire adequate nutrition. Therefore, if your fasting goal is to shed weight, a low-nutrient, high-caloric beverage such as alcohol will not be best for you. Number 7. Bloating. Extensive fasting is also associated with bloating. When you fast for an extended period, you will start feeling as if your face is bloated or holding on to a bunch of water. Usually, this is due to dehydration. This is normal since you tend to lose water when fasting, and in the process, you will lose electrolytes and approximately 500 to 600 milligrams of potassium in a day. Additionally, you will lose around 300 to 400 milligrams of sodium per day and 200 to 300 milligrams of magnesium. The key point here is that you are losing essential minerals, and during your feeding window, you might fail to replace these minerals' recommended dietary allowances. Therefore, as time progresses, you will suffer from mineral imbalance, leading to water retention and making your body feel depleted. When practicing intermittent fasting, you will need to concentrate on eating healthier and rich, dense, nutritious meals and keep up with your weekly, monthly caloric intake. In addition, you will need to try and fast on non-workout days to feel less of these effects. The most vital aspect when it comes to fasting is not overdoing it. Overfasting or intermittent fasting too much is known to pose a danger to your health, as opposed to improving your general well-being. If you're experiencing many of the signs we have listed today, it may be beneficial to reduce the amount of days you fast for in a week until your body normalizes itself, and ease back into it once you're no longer experiencing symptoms. So there you have it. Have you experienced any of these signs when fasting? How did you overcome them? Share with us your experience in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's topic, check out this related video to see more. Until next time,